So in this video we're focusing all about writing the equation of a parabola given different pieces of information. For instance, in example 5, we're given a graph, so we want to be able to write the equation of this parabola given just a picture. First thing we should notice is that the parabola opens up and down. Parabola opens up and down. Also, its vertex is at 0, 0. So that automatically tells me that h equals 0, k equals 0. It's always alphabetical order. We also know that since the parabola opens up and down, its focus is at 0, p, and its directrix is that it has the equation y equals negative p. Now, and we finally know that the parabola opens up and down, it has the general pattern of x minus h squared equals 4p y minus k inside parentheses, just like that. Alright, so what we need to do is find p. That's what we need to do. It's kind of hard to see up here because the directrix is in blue, so I'm just going to emphasize that in red. Here's the directrix. We want to use the directrix to figure out what p is. Now, remember that the vertex is the same distance to the directrix as it is to the focus. So, this distance from the vertex to the directrix is 2. Distance is always positive. Well, since this distance is 2, that means the focus must be 2 units away because the vertex is always exactly halfway between. So that means obviously on here to graph the focus is at 0, 2. Well, since I know the focus is at 0, 2, that means that p has to be positive 2. My directrix has an equation y equals negative 2. Okay? As soon as I know what p is and I already know what h and k are, I can write the equation for this parabola. So for this problem, I have x minus 0 squared equals 4 times 2 times y minus 0. I'm just going to clean up everything that I can. So I have x squared equals 8y. That's the equation of this parabola right here. That's all I needed to do. Again, it's all based on, do you know the information based on which direction the parabola is turned. So another problem. In these two problems, we're given the focus and the vertex is at 0, 0. Well, since the focus is at 0, 0, we know that the parabola, we have two situations for the focus since the vertex is at 0, 0. If it opens up and down, then the focus is at 0, p. If it opens right or left, then the focus is at p, 0. Alright, and since we know the vertex for each problem, we already know h and k. H is 0, k is 0. Same thing for the second example. H and k is 0. So let's go ahead and take care of that. Alright, well, based on the focus in example 6, I have a number, 0. So we know p is a number, so that implies to me the one that matches up best is the green. So this parabola opens right or left. So this is the one we're going to use. And its rule, since we know it's right or left, its rule is y minus k squared equals 4p x minus h. Well, since we know the focus for right or left is at p, 0, and our actual focus is at 4, 0, that tells me that for example 6, p is 4. And I also already know what h and k is, so for this particular problem, I have y minus 0, which is going to just be y. So y squared equals 4 times 4 times x minus 0, which is just x. And 4 times 4 is 16, so let's go ahead and take care of that. So y squared equals 16x. I just plugged in and cleaned up as much as I could. I erased my k, let me put that back. All right, for the next problem, same idea. We have a focus at 0, comma, a number. Well, I'll go back and look at my two rules. 0, comma, a number goes with an up and down parabola. As soon as I know it's an up and down parabola, I know my rule is x minus h squared equals 4p y minus k inside parentheses. I already know h and k, so we need to figure out what p is. Remember, our focus is at 0, comma, a number. Our focus is at 0, comma, a number. And that number is p. So here, in this particular problem, p is 1/2. We're ready to just plug in what we know. So for this particular parabola, I have x minus 0 squared equals 4 times 1/2 times y minus 0. All right, so I'm just going to clean up as much as I can. X minus 0 is x squared. 4 times 1/2 is 2. Y minus 0 is y. So that's the equation of this parabola. So we got both equations for both parabolas, and we did it with all we knew is that the vertex was at 0, 0, and we knew where each focus was. We want to write the standard form of the equation of parabola whose directrix is y equals 2 and vertex is at 0, 0. Okay, well, since we know that the directrix is y equals, then we have a rule for that. Okay, and this is going back to the previous video. If you don't remember those rules, I suggest you go back and rewatch those videos, or at least have those notes in front of you. Also, we know that the focus is at 0p. First off, as soon as we know the directrix is at y equals 0, that's an up and down parabola. Kind of think of it as directrix y equals always tells us up and down. So since the directrix is y equals, that means my parabola has to be up and down. So this is an up and down parabola. I don't know which one's which, okay, but I do know it's up and down, and since I know it's up and down, I know automatically that the directrix is at y equals negative p, and I also know that the rule that I need to use to write the equation is x minus h squared equals 4p y minus k. Well, we know that the vertex is at 0, 0 for each of these parabolas, so that means I already have h and k. It's always alphabetical order. What I need to figure out is p, so I'm going to match up my rule. Well, it's pretty easy. Negative p has to match up with negative 2. Oops, negative p has to match up with negative 2. Let's write it correctly. And then, so I need to get p by itself, so I'm just going to divide by a negative. That's a negative 1 that I'm dividing by, so cancel out, so p equals negative 2. Now I'm ready to plug in everything that I know. So I plug in, I have x minus 0 squared equals 4 times negative 2 times y minus 0. And now I want to clean up as much as I can. X minus 0 is just x squared. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. And y minus 0 is just y. So that's the equation of this parabola. Okay? In the next example, I have my directrix is that x equals 3/4. Think about it. X always tells us to go right or left. So that means this parabola is going to be a right or left parabola. And since it's a right or left parabola, I know automatically my directrix is that x equals negative p. And my rule that I need to use is that y minus k squared equals 4p x minus h. Again, this came from the previous video, so if you're wondering where I get this stuff from, go back and watch that video, please. I really encourage you. We also know what the vertex is, so we automatically know what h and k are. It's always alphabetical order. Okay, now we need to just plug in or figure out what p is. So x obviously matches up with x. That means negative p must match up with 3/4. So I can say that negative p is equal to 3/4. Well, that tells me I need positive p, so p is equal to negative 3/4. Now I have everything I need to do to plug in and write the equation for this parabola. So I have y minus 0 squared equals 4 times negative 3/4 times x minus 0. And I want to clean this up as much as I can. Y minus 0, quantity squared, is just y squared. 4 times negative 3/4 is negative 3. If you can't do that in your head, please use your calculator. And then finally, x minus 0 is just x. So that's the equation of this parabola that opens right or left. And that's it for this video.